Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Rob and I talk about high-end collectible comics and comics art. Subscribe if that's your kind of thing. I love to talk about comics and I post 1 or 2 videos a week doing just that. Although I've posted I don't know how many videos this week, and I don't know how many I'll get through this week. It's been a busy time, but I'm catching up. This video, I'm going to talk about the incredible June 2025 Heritage Signature Auction. This has got to be one of the funnest auctions I've covered so far on the channel, to be perfectly honest. This one is also going to take a while, so buckle up. I've got incredible comics and original art on tap to talk about, so let's do it. Frank Frazetta, Famous Funnies 214 Buck Rogers cover. This is a stunning image from the master. Please zoom in on this. Click on the link, zoom in, check it out, and look at the details. I've talked about how great an artist in ink Frazetta is, and this is a perfect example of that. This cover is remarkable, and it's just one of the best examples of what he was capable of in pen and ink. I mean, it's a shame. I know this is going to sound funny, but it's a shame that he spent so much of his career painting, because his work in pen and ink was just exquisite, just so beautiful, so perfect. And this cover is for sale. So as of this recording, it's around $350,000, which is, plus buyer's premium is, pretty good. But the high for Frazetta line art at Heritage is $552,000 from 2019. Another Famous Funnies cover, Famous Funnies 209. And this one is nice. I mean, it's Frazetta, but it's not this 214 cover. This 214 cover is phenomenal. So I'm excited to see where it goes. Where does it end up? I don't know. It's impossible to tell. In case you're wondering, Weird Science Fantasy 29, the cover, Frazetta's masterpiece in comics, one of the greatest comic covers of all time, is in Jim Halperin's collection. So not bad. He's got a lot of really nice stuff. But if you get a chance, zoom in on this one as well, because that line work here is just phenomenal. And it's, of course, so dynamic. The action is just incredible. But just his ability with a brush and pen and ink to just create form, texture, shape, shadow, all the stuff that goes into art is remarkable. So, again, I wish we had more comics from Frazetta, but the ones we do have are worth it. One of my favorite individual books in the hobby. I'm missing a sale here or there, but it's even what I have is a very interesting sales history. The 1993 sale, Sotheby's, I've talked about it before, $27,600, $27,000. I have 2 different totals for this book, but that happens. From 1993 is part of that incredible auction where the Amazing Fantasy 15 sold for nearly $40,000 and catapulted Silver Age books into the stratosphere and just changed the dialogue on Silver Age books. Because remember, at this time, the world record was maybe 101,000 or 125,000. And so to get a third of that for a Silver Age book was actually pretty crazy. It's similar to where we're at now, right? So the Amazing Fantasy 15 sold for $3.6 million. The top Golden Age book, the top record holder is $6 million. And really, if a higher grade Detective 27, if the equivalent of the books that we're talking about that were held the record at that time, the other high grade copy of Detective 27 and the Edgar Church copy of Detective 27, if one of those came out, it would sell for, more than 2 times, probably 3 times what the Amazing Fantasy 15 sold for recently. So, but still, right? That was where it changed the dialogue, where you were getting 40 to 50% of the world record price for a comic book for a Silver Age book, which was just crazy. So, and this was part of that, right? This wasn't the record holder, but it was hot on its heels. And a very exciting auction. From there, it traded hands. I don't know. I seem to remember Bob Storms owned it at one point, and I don't know if this sale that I have was that one. So I have a listing from Metropolis in 2007 for $100,000 flat when it sold. After that, it went to auction a couple of times. So 2013, in August, it sold for $191,200 at Heritage. And then in Later that year, it sold for, and then in 2014, it sold for $145,000 at Comic Link. So, I mean, it's already well above that price from Comic Link. We'll see where it lands. I'm really interested to see where this one ends up in terms of price because I love this book. And but we've had kind of some ups and downs with some bubble results and some post-bubble results with high-end Fantastic Four #1s. So this won't get whatever $2.2 million, but it'll certainly get more than 145,000. So we'll see. But I love this book. Cool book, great pedigree, historic comic, Fantastic Four. I know there's a movie coming up, but I mean, I don't even care about that. This is just like one of my favorite books in the hobby. So, yeah. And here's that excerpt. I'm not going to go too deep into it, but here's an article talking about the sale. I'm going to do a short where I'll read a little bit of this hype. Pretty cool. And obviously, Fantastic Four took second place. I mean, that's the big headline total, but it was part of a mind-blowing set of results for Silver Age books and White Mountain in specific. So, Incredible Hulk #1, CGC 9.2, off-white white. The last one of these sold for $825,000 in January 11th of 2024. As I've talked about, the Hulk #1, CGC 9.4 is one of the most valuable books in the world, and I can't wait for the result on this one because it'll give me more information on how to value that book. Because it's in the top 25 somewhere. It has to be, but I just don't know where. So, somebody buy this and it'll give me another data point. But yeah, if you're looking for, and that book is not moving. So if you're looking for a high grade Incredible Hulk #1, 9.2 is as good as you're going to get. And this is a pretty good looking one. So maybe make your move now. Steve Ditko, Amazing Spider-Man #25 splash page. So a splash page from Ditko, Amazing Spider-Man. It doesn't get better than that. There's a limited supply of them. This one, if you first glance at it, it's like kind of weird. But then you realize it's like got so many characters on it. And then it's got the Spider Slayer, which is such a crazy robot, weird thing. I love that character, I guess it is. I don't know, persona of J. Jonah Jameson. I mean, it's listed as a character, so it's like first Spider Slayer, but it's, I don't know. But I love it. It's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous robot trying to kill Spider-Man. And there's a full-body Spider-Man in costume. And then there's that crazy, like, the arrows and the hyped-up dialogue. And it's just like, I don't know. I mean, there are better splashes, obviously, but this one's really cool. I really enjoyed this one. And I was just kind of including it because there was a limited supply of Ditko splashes. And so somebody was going to get excited for this one. But I actually really like this one now that I look at it. So we'll see. This is always fun. And original art is full of surprises. So Amazing Spider-Man, Todd McFarlane cover. Number 311, Mysterio. There's been a Mysterio trend on the channel. I covered his first appearance. I talked about how he remains like a viable character, even though he's kind of weird. I mean, it's clever, right? The backstory is clever and whatever, but it's like just kind of a weird character. And he's got that like fishbowl on his head. I don't know. But the fishbowl here is like amazing, right? It's an incredible part of the design of this cover. So this is one of my favorite covers from the run. Really, I love this, and I was, working at a shop when these were coming out. We were very excited to see what these books would look like when they hit the shelves, and this was one that just blew our minds. So, love it. It sold for $91,115 at Comic Link in 2018. I think it's going to do better than that. In fact, where is it right now? It's already at 120, right? So it's already at 120 with buyer's premium. So, but I think it's going to blow past that. I mean, I don't know. I love that. That 91,000 seems ridiculous because McFarlane covers had already sold for hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. To see one that I think is just a fun design with an image of Spider-Man like front and center, go for $91,000 was kind of crazy. So, yeah, we'll see where that one lands. It's going to be good. Good to see. Paul Smith, Uncanny X-Men #172, Wolverine and Rogue story page number 22. So Gene Park, who some of you will remember helped me out a couple of months ago with some much-needed original art data on the 1991 Sotheby's catalog, is actually trying to put this book back together. and is making a run at this page. He announced it, on Instagram. And, trying to put any book back together is crazy difficult, right? Because you have to source all the pages. If somebody that doesn't like you has one of them, forget it. Somebody might bid you up just because you're a jerk or whatever. Gene doesn't care. He's letting you know. He's like, I'm going for it. And it's actually helped him out because people are, giving him hints and tips, and he's the first person you go to if you're selling one of these pages. So he's done pretty well, actually. But yeah, so that's difficult enough. But then this is an iconic Paul Smith Wolverine-centric X-Men book from prime X-Men era. It's just crazy. So yeah, this is next level. So everyone, root for him to get this page without breaking the bank, and or maybe breaking the bank because he just needs to get the page, and and then on to the next one. So, but it's just crazy. I love the fact that he's doing it, and it's actually been pretty successful so far. So, All Story 94, October 1912, CGC 1.5, off-white pages. First Tarzan. I've talked about it with comics, and it holds true here with pulps as well. If to make a great first appearance, you need to put the character on the cover. I don't think they could have done a better job with this one. Tarzan is introduced perfectly on this cover. Off-white pages, which is remarkable for a pulp because, it's in the name. They're pulp paper. It's supposed to be terrible. And off-white pages, so I don't know. But this one is actually kind of beat up because it's 1.5. Looks good. Realistically, you're not going to get a much better copy of this. And in fact, they say there are less than 20 copies of this book, which seems high because Heritage has sold 7. Now, I haven't gone through and seen whether some of those are resell, and I don't know. But that still seems 20 seems pretty low compared to 7 copies for Heritage over 20 years. But maybe I'm wrong. Somebody let me know. There's somebody out there that's better expert at pulps than I am. Actually, anybody that collects pulps is a better expert at pulps than I am. But this one is fascinating. Raw 1.5 sold for $44,000 in 2022. But this, it's a ground up VG. It's pretty ugly looking, not even CGC graded. $264,000 last year in January. So I don't know. You tell me what this thing is going to go for, the 1.5. If you're looking for a copy of this book, I guess you could wait around. There have been a couple that I've shown you that have sold over the last couple of years, but still, you got to pull the trigger, I think. It's worse than a Golden Age book if there's really 20 or 30 or whatever. So, yeah, happy I shared this one. And maybe I'll make a point of sharing a pulp every Heritage auction because they always have some good ones. So, and I'll learn along with everybody else. Spider-Man Wolverine Mark Bright cover. I love this cover. Really nostalgic. Again, I was working at a comic shop at this point. This is it wasn't even that great of a, I didn't really care about the book, but I just remembered the cover was just awesome. And of course it was Spider-Man, who's always been big, and Wolverine had, this is kind of the height of Wolverine's ascension to the top of the comics pecking order. And so of course the two of them were in a book together, and this cover is really well designed, and I don't know, I love it, and I have this really strong nostalgic feel for this cover, so had to share. Last sold in 2016 for a bargain to me, because maybe they don't have the nostalgia I have, but I love this cover. $35,850. So I think it'll do better than that. It's already well beyond that with buyer's premium, but here's a modern classic, Jock. Detective Comics 880, Joker cover, original art. Copies of this book, just the comic itself, sell for hundreds of dollars because it is truly a classic cover, classic modern cover. Using the bats to render the Joker in this really dynamic way, this really eerie way, is just amazing. It's really memorable. It's really iconic. You see it once and you can't forget it. And here's the original art, already at $93,000. With a week to go, so pretty good, and we'll see where it lands. But yeah, you can't beat this one for modern covers. Mark Silvestri and Dan Green, Uncanny X-Men 236 cover, original art, 1988. Again, I was working at a comic shop when this book came out, and it's one of the most memorable of Silvestri's run on X-Men. I wasn't entirely floored by Silvestri, but I liked him on X-Men. Of course, he got more refined as the years went on, and I became much bigger fan. But he was very good. He was really dynamic and really fun. And this cover I was very memorable to me because it's so dramatic, and it's like, well, that's not a good situation to be in. So, yeah, I remember this one pretty well. And here we go. So it's up for sale. More nostalgia for me. This is when I was a kid. I wasn't working in a shop when this came out. So Mike Zeck, Marvel Superheroes, Secret Wars #3, Spider-Man vs. X-Men cover original art. You can't beat the image, right? You can't beat the characters on the cover. So it's, again, Spider-Man and Wolverine squaring off, but then you've got the rest of the X-Men on the cover as well. Pretty crazy. And Secret Wars was just like such a crazy event. Now there's a crazy event like every time you sneeze now in comics, but this is the one that really created like incredible hype, and it was like it's hard to describe now how novel this felt. So something like Crisis was more of the style of what we see now. So it was like every book, every DC title would have some Crisis crossover, and they would have the Crisis logo on it and whatever. But this one was really like stealth. So you had, Spider-Man 251 would come out. Spider-Man disappears at the end. He's like zapped off to some other dimension. I don't actually remember what the last panel is, but you know that something has happened to him. And then 252 comes out and he's back with the black costume. And they didn't explain what was going on. You just had to like get hints, and then you had to read this miniseries to see what had happened to all of your favorite characters. It was really clever and really good and fun. I mean, it was a fun series for sure. And, Mike Zeck, you can't beat Mike Zeck. I mean, it's not Mike Zeck Punisher, but it's still pretty cool. So love it. Jim Starlin, Captain Marvel #33, Thanos cover original art. So this is the first full Thanos cover from one of the classic Marvel cosmic runs of the 70s, which is like, you're talking my language here. You're speaking directly to my geeky, cosmic Marvel loving heart. So I love this cover. I love this like little run. I had a really nice run of the Starlin Captain Marvels back in the day. It's fun. I had a bunch of the first, 50 Thanos appearances for a while. It's like, it's a focus for me. I like the guy. And then, of course, he turned into the centerpiece for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But before that, I was a Thanos fan, and I just love this cover. So hopefully it goes to a good home. Again, more nostalgia. So again, I was a tiny little wee lad when TMNT #1 came out. And I remember, like, I missed it when it came out, but it was already like a $50 book, like a month later, and it was crazy, and we couldn't wrap our heads around how that could happen, because of course $50 was like X-Men 94 or something like that at that point, right? It was not cheap, and it blew our minds. But this is the one I read, so I read the reprint, and I was like, oh, this is great. And then I would continue to read the series for a while, but it tied into a lot of stuff I was interested in, because it was like based on Frank Miller's Daredevil, like in a lot of ways. It's like ninjas, and some of the art styles and whatever was like directly speaking to what Miller had been doing. And so it was like, I lapped it up. And of course they had their own take on things, but yeah, I lapped it up when I was a kid. And I love this. I like this, obviously the main cover, the actual cover of #1 is iconic and whatever, but this one is a better image. It's not as iconic, but it's a great image. So love to see this one displayed over somebody's couch. Fantastic Four #48, Northland pedigree, CGC 9.8. Killer book. Yeah, I think it survived the old holder pretty well. And yeah, Northland pedigree, really nice colors, and it's one of my favorite books in the hobby. This is definitely, by the way, going to be in that series. So, spoilers, but I mean, I love Fantastic Four 58. There's a bunch of Fantastic Fours that are going to be in that. Spoilers, but I love Fantastic Four. So this is interesting. So this book sold last year for $66,000. And I have no record of where it sold previously, so there's no records in GPA. This book was graded in like the early those. It's an old holder, so it was like 2000 or 2001, and so I don't know where it's been since. I just wonder if it was like sold early and has been in a collection since, because there are a few old holder books in this auction. So I wonder if it's like one collector who's had these books for like 25 years and just kept them in good shape. Because if this book had been shipped around 10 times, it might have been dinged up in one of the old holders, which it does not look like it. I've looked at it pretty closely, and it's a really nice copy. Silver Surfer, Galactus. So I talk about Wiz Comics and Captain Marvel a lot, and how like it's not as bad as with pulps because I know the basics, but I am not a big Fawcett expert at all. I'm just not. And I'm going to admit that the violence of this cover had like previously escaped me. So Captain Marvel, it throws a car with people in it against a wall. That's going to sting, right? Like that's going to leave a mark. Ow. I wouldn't want to be one of those criminals. I mean, they're criminals, right? He's a superhero taking care of some criminals, but I mean, that's still that is going to hurt. So I hadn't really noticed that. This copy last sold a year ago for $288,000 at Heritage. We'll see how it goes this time. Great book. More McFarlane fun. Todd McFarlane, Spider-Man number 11, story page number 20, original art. And, McFarlane's super fun. Again, comic shop employee at this time. And look at that Spider-Man image. You got to love it. You cannot beat that image. It's like a t-shirt waiting to happen. So, Captain America Comics number 10, San Francisco pedigree, CGC 9.6. I love Sharon Riley books. They're amazing. And they rival, really, in terms of quality, they rival Church copies in Allentown. So you got to love them. Look at it. Beautiful book. This copy last sold for $55,200 in June of 2023. So again, almost exactly 2 years ago. And it's still beautiful. So if you're in the market for Captain America Comics number 10 and you need to have the best, well, you can't get the best because there is a Church copy out there, but this one might be just as good. So Bernie Wrightson, Batman the Cult number 1, original art. I have a soft spot for things like this, and like Punisher POV. Wrightson waltzed back into mainstream comics in the 1980s and just worked on these big fun projects. Hulk thing, the Punisher. He worked on the Punisher. Crazy. But I love this cover, and it's pretty grim, really. Definitely a murder scene. So, and he's about to go into the sewers, which is going to be dramatic. So let's take a look at some Dale Keown covers real quick. I talked about it before, how much the staff at Superhero Universe, where he worked in the 80s and 90s, just how much we loved Peter David's run on Incredible Hulk, and how much we loved the Dale Keown version of that run. And so let's just share a couple of his covers. First up is this one, 374, cover original art. Really nice image of the Hulk, little thing, rocky skin coming. Gotta love that. And then this really dynamic cover with Speed Freak and a not so happy Hulk cover from 388. So I don't know what's going on with his arm. I don't remember, but it doesn't look good. So, and then the guy is still good. This isn't yesterday, but it is 2012. Dale Keown, Avengers vs. X-Men number 5 variant cover. Juggernaut versus Thing. And yeah, just look at that. He got a little bit of Steve McNiven in him a little later in his life, didn't he? That thing is so detailed and so nice. So gotta love it. Love the guy. Sergeant Fury and his Howling Commandos number 1. I think this is the first time I've covered this book on the channel. Maybe not, but maybe. CGC 9.4. This is tied for the highest graded copy of this book with 6 other copies. This is a really old holder. And again, looks like it held up pretty well. But the grade date for this is 2000, June of 2000, which is super early. But again, I think maybe like an early collector has held on to these books for a long time because they don't see any of them. You don't see any of the telltale damage from an old holder that's been like shipped back and forth across the country or whatever. These books look pretty clean. So I wonder if that's what's going on because they're high-end books, all in old holders, bought in like 2000 or 2001 with no sales history. So just speculation, but it's kind of what it looks like to me. The last one of these sold for, and I've never mentioned Comic Book Addiction, so shout out to Comic Book Addiction for their first appearance on the channel. The last one of these sold for $120,000. Okay. Silver Surfer number 3, if you watch my Comic Link coverage, recent Comic Link coverage, you know that this book went bonkers. So we've got something really exciting to compare this copy against. Silver Surfer number 3, First Mephisto, CGC 9.8. The last one sold for $94,888. So we'll see how Heritage does, but that Comic Link result was crazy. Another Wrightson piece, why not? This one is more in line with the classic kind of horror Wrightson that you would expect if you're a fan of his from the 70s. I love the dramatic vibe of this piece. The lighting is incredible. And this image is prominent in the Wrightson retrospective book, A Look Back. And that's something I thumbed through a lot in the 80s and 90s. I love Wrightson. I was really into his work at that point. So I've kind of like, I have a new copy of it, but I have an old, worn out copy that's in storage. So, but it's a great, if you haven't taken a look at that book, it's really, really cool. And it talks about the work he did post-comics and pre-comics, like in the late 70s where he was just kind of cutting his own path through the art world and doing prints and paintings and just being really creative. So, and of course that led to Frankenstein, and you know, it was all about him trying to get his artistic vision to where he wanted it to be. It's cool, very cool. So check it out if you haven't. Marvel Superheroes Secret Wars number 8, CGC Mint 9.9. Contrary to popular opinion, since this is the first appearance of the black costume in continuity, this is, I think I calculated the 39th appearance or something like that. I actually went through and counted. It's well down the list of the number of appearances of the black costume. But it is the first appearance in continuity, and we knew that this book was coming because we had already seen the black costume in Amazing Spider-Man 252. So people bought this in droves, which is why there were 27 9.9s of this book and 5 10s. The last 9.0 sold for over $10,000 last year, so we'll see where this one lands. These books can be unpredictable, so I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. Fantastic Four number 5, CGC 9.2. It's another one of these old holder books that's held up well. Gonna speculate somebody's got really good taste and they've kept their books really nice. This one is really nice looking as well. So 492, it's like really great. The biggest piece of damage is on the back cover. It's got a crease in the back cover, which you don't see when you have the book in front of you and you're staring at that like image of Dr. Doom. So spoilers, again, this is in my favorite books of all time series. So definitely going to talk about Fantastic Four number 5 at some point because I love Dr. Doom, love the Fantastic Four. That's just not a spoiler for anybody that's been on the channel for a while. Tales to Astonish 27, CGC 8.0. Did you know that this is the 12th most valuable Silver Age book according to Overstreet? I had no idea. I mean, I knew it was valuable and I knew it was difficult to find, but if I was to guess, I wouldn't put this that high. I'd put it in the top 20, but I just wouldn't put it that high. Because, like, really? Who cares? I mean, I care. Ant-Man. But, I mean, it's Ant-Man. Is Ant-Man the 12th most important character in the Marvel Silver Age? I mean, he is, in some ways, is an original Avenger, etc. But, and had his movies, and I get it. I get it. But, again, it's like, I could think of some other books I would expect to be more valuable than this. I don't know. I'm going to be doing an analysis of the top 20 Silver Age books, so I'll be able to talk about this a little bit. And that's, of course, not just the Marvels. I'm just talking about the Marvels. Forget it. I don't know. It's crazy. But it is impossible to find. So if you want a copy, especially in high grade, forget it. You have to break the bank. So, I mean, I guess I understand it, but I also don't. I don't get everything. That's why this is fun. Journey into Mystery 85, CGC 9.6, White Pages. Gorgeous book. Love it. First Loki. Thor. Great. Awesome. Everything about it. One of these just passed, didn't make reserve at Comic Link, so that was $125,000. We'll see. That's the bar that we're trying to beat with this this Heritage copy. So I love it. Great book. Underrated as far as I'm concerned. Loki is amazing. Okay, so regular 9.8s of this book, not signature series, have sold for as much as $43,200. This is the only copy of this book signed by Delotto himself. This could like sell for some eye-watering result. You've been warned. If you're one of those people that kind of clutches their pearls and like gets all bent out of shape when something new sells for a ton of money, this is not your book. I think it's fascinating though. And he's a classic artist. I mean, he drives a lot of interest in the hobby right now. So you got to love it. And with that, I'm done. I told you this one was going to take a while. There's a lot of stuff in here that's really great. If you made it this far, thank you again. I appreciate you guys. Like, subscribe, share with your friends, drop a comment, see what you're taking a look at yourself, what you think that Frazetta cover is going to sell for, what you think the Fantastic Four #1 is going to sell for, a couple of lots that I'm really excited about. And yeah, so the rest of the week, I am going to try and get out the 5th episode of Edgar Church's Basement, talking about pre-hero comic books. So I talked about Platinum Age last week. I'm going to talk about actual comic books, which will include me geeking out about Detective Comics #1. And then following that, I have the Comic Connect auction, which ended last week. I haven't been able to cover those results. That one will be pretty quick because I didn't cover a ton in that auction. So I think it was like 10 or 12 lots or something like that. So I should be able to knock that out pretty quickly. This auction is ending in a couple of weeks, so I'll be able to do some of the more kind of fun stuff. For me, at least, maybe one of my favorite comics ones, or I can look at the pedigree, Silver Age pedigrees list, one of those sort of things. I'll be able to do one of those, and those are always fun for me, for sure, because I love doing the research and stuff like that. So thank you again. One more note before I go. I am raising money for charity for cancer research here in the Boston area. I'm riding my bicycle in Western Mass in October. I will drop a link in the description. Every little bit helps. Yeah, and there'll kind of always be a link in my descriptions, and I'm going to drop a little QR code right now, so you can take a look at that and click on that if you'd like to donate some money, because every little bit helps, and thank you. So, yeah, that'll do for now, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.